I start setting goals in December, but I am starting in November this year because time just goes by so fast. So, less than 2 months from now, it will be 2025. That is kind of crazy. And last year, I think I started in December and it was just a very chaotic month. I feel like I did not properly plan for the new year because I was in such a hurry. So this year I am doing it a little differently. I'm starting in November. As you may have noticed by the title, this video will be covering how you can set your goals in your 20s. I would say that a lot of people, including myself, um, I would say when you enter your 20s, generally speaking, you are going to enter the world very optimistically. And based on observation, I would say my guess as to why this is, growing up, we had our basic physiological needs taken care of. We had food, shelter, whatever we needed, clothes, and I would say generally speaking, we may not have experienced, living life and thinking, oh, where am I going to get food? How am I going to pay rent? That usually comes later. So, at least it did for me. So, I feel like when you are younger, you've got that set, your basic physiological needs, and you just kind of think, oh, I'm just going to start a business and in 6 months, will have a successful business, or I'm going to start a YouTube channel and I'm just going to grow to 100,000 subscribers or whatever it may be. So I think that's why we enter the world in our 20s, especially thinking we've got this, we've got it covered. All we have to do is start something and we're just going to prosper. And it doesn't necessarily work that way, which is, in a way kind of unfortunate, but then kind of not. By it not working very quickly, we do get to learn things. So that's the positive out of it. But we do tend to set very high goals, very wild goals, and sometimes unachievable goals because they tend to we jump from 0 to 100,000 subscribers. That's a very big jump. So another thing that I notice on these YouTube videos or in myself or friends, being too ambitious is very common. Making goals in every aspect of life, whether that be singing, dancing, sports, social life, income, career, dream home, health, fitness, everything. And you really cannot tackle every single goal, I would say in a year, honestly, because there's just some time you want to spend just to yourself, or maybe you have a full-time job and that takes a lot of your time. So that's one common thing that I see. Another is kind of overlapping, but it's overfilling your plate. Likewise, you may want to make passive income, or you want to become an entrepreneur, a photographer, working a full-time job, writing a novel, having a YouTube career, working on friends, relationships, just really overfilling your plate and being very wild with goals, being very ambitious with goals, and really setting a lot of goals is is fun, but it's also in a way not helpful. However, I do think it can be a good thing to set a lot of goals, which I will get into in a minute. But one other common theme that I see, and I've seen this in myself, I think that sometimes, basic needs are very important and maybe they are slowly disintegrating, and so is your income. and you maybe get desperate and you want to take on all possible potential careers. You want to maybe go into data entry, or you want to be a cosmetologist, a photographer, a freelancer, a tutor, a writer, an editor, and everything interests you because it seems easy, quick, and not a lot of experience or degree is required. So you basically want to do anything you can to make money quickly, even though it's not something you're very interested in. So, I am going to share a few tips that I have learned personally that I think work, and something that will help you set your goals for the new year, especially if you're in your 20s or even earlier or later. But obviously, the earlier you can start this, the better. So, the number one important goal that I would set for the new year is a solid main job. If you have one, great. You don't have to set this as a goal. But as long as you have a job that, or at least, or two jobs or three jobs, preferably no more than two, but as long as you have one or two jobs that give you consistent income and will pay for your rent, utilities, and food. Maybe transportation, but rent, utilities, and food are your main priorities. So if you do not have that one, I would recommend writing down some job ideas that you would like, that would interest you. So, for example, I initially wanted to just work at like a bookstore or a clothing store. And this is because I was very scared about working around food. And someone said, you should try a coffee shop because you might like it. And I thought, I don't really want to do that because I will have to clean up and it just seems like it's not as fun. So I did apply to a local coffee shop somewhere, and I really actually enjoyed it. And I did stick with that for a good bit, and I really did enjoy it. So I wouldn't have known that if I had not been, it had been suggested to me to go into that direction. And I also would not know it if I did not actually go into that direction and take the job and so on and so forth. So write down a list of jobs that you think you would like until you get your degree or until XYZ happens. And that way you are somewhat happy with the job that you are getting or will get, and you can focus on the more fun goals. So at this point, let's say you have your solid main job, or you have a list of jobs that really interest you. I would go ahead and delve into anything fun and exciting. So basically, I personally want to live by the live life to the fullest kind of motto. And I think to do this, you obviously need a job to pay for your basic physiological needs. But after that, what do you do? Well, I know I said that, you overfill your plate, or you're likely to in your 20s, and you are very ambitious and all of those things. But I would really set as many goals as you possibly can. I would set fun goals, side hustle goals, volunteer goals, travel goals, self care goals, activity goals, anything that you can think of, I would set. I do have a link to a blog post that I wrote in the description box below to give you some ideas to live life to the fullest. I think the title is something like 39 Ways to Live Life to the Fullest or something along those lines. I think it was 39. So I'll leave that linked in the description box below. Also, I recommend, signing up for these fun goals, side hustle goals, whatever they may be. They could be painting classes, they could be singing lessons, piano lessons, horse riding lessons, whatever interests you or maybe doesn't interest you, you could still add it. You might change your mind later, just whatever comes to mind. write it down, take at least one class or lesson, or, do it one time just to see if you like it. And then likewise for entrepreneur business type goals, for those who do want to go this route, you could start a YouTube channel. That could be one of your goals. Start a photography business, start a clothing business, a creative endeavor, and post something on Etsy, like sew something or whatever it may be. Okay, and then what you do is you place each goal into the Notion database that I have set up. Okay, so I'm not real sure what happened to my audio/video for the Notion view, but I'm having to record it, so here we go. Hopefully it all aligns. So I have a progress bar here, or progress column, and in this progress column, there's a black circle, a red circle, a yellow circle, and a green circle. The green circle can be used to indicate if you are on track with your goal. The yellow circle could mean that it needs more attention, or you need to maybe set it as more of a priority, or both. And the red circle could be that you may not want to follow this goal any longer. You're just going to delete it maybe, or maybe you want to recycle it to the next year, or something along those lines. And then the black circle could be used for if the goal is pending. The red circle could also be used for that as well. So that's really neat. And then you have the status column. In the status column, you have inactive, active, pending, and complete. And if you would like, you can maybe create a different view and showcase your goals by status. So if you want to only see your active goals, you can do that. And then for the main goals, I just have a few listed here. Some are not even goals. There's one that's called spiritual goal. And I just kind of put a few out there just to show you what it would look like, but you could adopt some of these goals if that's something you would like to set as a goal. But I have a personal goal, business goal, school goal, spiritual goal, which is just labeled a spiritual goal, and then a philanthropic goal. And these you can adjust as needed. So for instance, I have find a job paying $50,000 yearly. You could set a goal of so much per year, or you could set a goal to find a marketing position if that's the industry you're looking for. So it just depends on how you want to set that goal. And then you have the subcategory as well, and that way you can kind of get an idea, a little more granular idea of what your goals are. So for a couple of the personal, as you can see, one is listed under the self subcategory and the other is listed under the health subcategory. If you want to separate these into main goals as in personal goals, or a health goal as a main goal, you can do that as well. But I felt like I wanted to keep the main goals minimal and then just have a sub goal just to kind of show me where I'm putting more of my efforts under each goal, if that makes sense. And then for the bachelor's degree, I have, as an example, I have university for the subcategory, or for school, you could also choose a DIY education subcategory. So it's completely up to you. And then action steps, I have a few action steps listed. That's just to give you an idea of what you need to do to complete your goal. And that way you know what you need to put into the main calendar. And that way you can finish your goal. And then you have a quarterly goal, that's or a quarter column, and that's a tag property actually. So you can choose quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4. So for instance, For the bachelor's degree, you may choose quarter 1 and quarter 2 because you will have to have at least 2 quarters to finish a semester. So if that's the case, you can choose quarter 1 and quarter 2, or you could do what I have here and just choose quarter 2. And then you have a target date column. So for instance, you for quarter 1 would have to finish that goal by March 31st. So that way it's there if you need to look and get a quick glance as to what your timeline should be and what your action steps are. And that way you can properly plan in your main calendar, whether it be Notion calendar, Google Calendar, or whatever. You would still have a quick glance as to when you need to finish that goal, when you project you should finish it, or maybe you need to add another quarter. So if you have quarter 1 in the quarter column, you can just add quarter 2 and then change the target date as appropriate. And then you have the trophy or completed column where you just check off the box. You have that option, and then you have the complete option under the status column, so you can delete one or the other, or you can keep both. It just depends on which one you want to use, or if you would rather use both. And then you have the main category. So I have personal, business, school, spiritual, and philanthropy. You can add or take away these goals as needed, but those are the main goals. And yeah. And then you have the category view as well, so you can view all of your goals by category. And you can also add different other views like quarterly view, and you can see your goals in quarters with the board view, I believe, or however you want to set that up. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little tour. This will allow you to go ahead and set your goals and not have to worry about setting it up. If you would rather set it up, you are more than welcome to do that. But if you want to, go ahead and just start diving into your goals and you don't really have a lot of time, then the link, like I said, will be in the description box below. And then by the end of the year, you should have an idea as to what you enjoy, what you don't enjoy, what you are good at, what you feel you're not that great at or not as good at, what is working well for you, what is not working well for you, what you like, what you dislike, what is worth your time essentially, and what is not worth your time. Basically, the main goal of setting all of these goals is to delve into as many things as possible because you don't know until you know, and you are not going to know unless you have those experiences. So, some final thoughts that I have. This could be completed through 12-week year. I know that's very popular on YouTube going around. So if you want to do things and think of these goals in a quarterly manner, then you could. You could do the regular January to December, yearly goals, and then think about it each month. Or you could theme each month by priority or, something like that. So the thing that I like about this Dream Life calendar that I set up is it has a status section, and this allows you to put it as inactive, active, or pending. And I actually did pin a couple of goals that I had for this year. So that is a very helpful feature. And then the other feature that I really like about this template and calendar is I did actually add this into the calendar for this coming year. I did not have it originally for last year, but I do now, and it is a progress rating. So for this progress rating, I have a black circle, a yellow circle, a green circle and a red circle. And that way you can kind of tell if you're on track, if you're going the route you want to go, and you can kind of assess if this goal is still something you really want to achieve, or if this goal is something that really interests you and you want to really finish this by the end of the year. So, yes, basically the goal is to have as many experiences as possible while having fun, of course, to get a head start on what you will actually want to focus on. And this can change. Your interests can change, and that is perfectly fine, and it is perfectly normal. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you have an opinion or something that you've personally tried that you want to share in the comments below, please do, regarding setting goals in your 20s or 30s or whatever decade. And I will see you in the next video.